Welcome, welcome, welcome back to Truth Quest. My name is Aaron Moriarty. I will be your host, and we're going to go on a quest for truth together. And today, friends, we've got a special guest for you, Mr. Korbin Pheenix. Korbin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Just talking to one of my best friends, so I'm doing even extra. So that's good.
That's cool. Now, well, how we met is a pretty interesting story. I mean, I put out a video, an interview, and you made a comment on the video, and so that's where it started. You wanted to get in contact, and so we got in contact. We've been pretty good friends ever since. Like
Yeah,
you said.
yeah. We've always been.
Yeah. Small planet.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's basically really when I first heard you it was on a True Report, and it was on Thomas's channel. I guess maybe he was just like, I want to switch it up, I want to get weird, I want to get spooky, and then got you on there, the perfect person. So, he got you on there, and you were talking, and it seems like you didn't really have any kind of reservations for anybody or any kind of agenda besides telling the truth, or just getting people to seek the truth. And it was just something about like you, it's just your honesty, just with all through me. And I was like, this guy seems like the guy that I need to be talking to or trying to get in contact with. And then I checked out all your videos, and it was just like, I was like, this guy, he's got the right amount of passion and I guess you could say love in his heart to like try to get everybody together. And then eventually I get down to the Corey Good interview, and then that's when y'all were talking about unity in the community, and I was like, man, I love these dudes. I'm good. Yeah. And it's wild too, because I was just thinking like, I had this story or whatever that I'm working on, and I was like, I should be talking to these guys, you know what I'm saying? And then so I hit you up, and here we are. But it's like, really we just, beyond that, we just kind of hit it off from there, just as friends, and so it's like, that's almost kind of like, I won't say like on the back burner all the way, but definitely like that's not the most important thing for me in this whole thing. It's important, but it's more important that people like me and you talk and conversate and try to build up an idea of what the world needs and what we think could take us to like the next level of ascension. So yeah.
Well, that's great. And you sent me a story and that you wrote, and this guy is a great writer. I mean, if you need someone to write something for you, this guy is a very good writer. He's also a singer and a songwriter, and his latest tune is called A Toast to the Chaos.
Yeah, featuring my homegirl, K Storm. She says Storm K sometimes. I don't know. But so anyway, I can't figure out remember which one I put on there as featured, but I know it's probably Storm K. And yeah, I think she likes that one. I like K Storm, but she likes Storm K. So anyway, we put what she wants to be called on there as the feature. So yeah, well, she's singing the hook, by the way. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, you're the mirror. She's the shining, and you're the mirror, so it's the opposite. So it's the opposite name. Right?
Yeah, the shiny and mirror.
Like you are the mirror to her. Like her name is mirrored. She says it backwards from the way you say it.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. Like I like it this way, and she likes it that way, but it's still the same thing. I gotta catch up. I'm sorry, man. I just woke up at like 12 today, so you've probably been up way longer than I have. So
maybe on the album you could put her name and then put a mirror next to it that could say both ways.
Yeah, like do some aesthetic with it. Yeah, just take it meta. Yeah. Yeah. Then you'll be like, yeah, that's me. So yeah.
So how long have you been doing music now? Our listeners might also like to know that you're related to someone famous, and I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Well, me myself. Well, before we get to that, me myself, I've loved music ever since I was a child, but I really didn't, get into actually like trying to do it semi-professionally or take it as a serious like hobby or a serious art expression until maybe 2000, 2001, something around there. And at the time, I was just thinking I just wanted to make beats, and maybe if my beats are good enough, I might, try to rap on them or something at some point. And eventually, I got to where I wrote like my first song. I was like, when I wrote my first song, it was like maybe full song was a 20, 23, 22, no, about 22. And then I just been kind of doing it here and there ever since in between like, personal life. So, but um, when it gets down to it though, the one thing, the famous person, my family originates from a place called Ozan, Arkansas. It's like a hole in the wall. They've got a place called or used to have a club called the Greenhouse, and basically they built a club around a giant ancient tree, and like they would be on the dance floor jamming, like busting their arm on the bark, like what I mean, like just crazy stuff. It's like a giant tree in the middle of this whole club. But anyway, that's the kind of town that I'm from. It's just real old, got a lot of history to it, and so my family is like the biggest family in that town, the Stewarts. That's like the main, last name. And from there, you got uh Gillums, Modisette, just different names or whatever in Ozan that kind of permeated out into the world. And then one of those last names is Nelson. Uh, that is Prince's last name. Prince is actually related to me. I'm related to Prince from the Stewarts in Ozan in Washington, Arkansas. That's how he got to where he's at. Because he's also related to us through the Modisets and Nelson. So yeah.
That's wild. That is awesome.
Mhm.
Prince was just such an amazing uh, artist, and I did have the pleasure of meeting a couple times, and super
Yeah.
nice guy, super nice guy. But
Hmm.
um, it's
Yep. Hmm.
well, maybe he faked his death along with Elvis and Michael Jackson.
Yeah, maybe he went Q. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you see that, like, he's on some symbolism stuff. So, could
Yeah,
be, could be.
could be. You never know. You just
Yeah.
never know. Maybe they're performing on the Mars colony.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're right, because because that's the thing. Everybody thinks that like this is it. like, dude, like they'll sit there and like throw it, like people that have that much money and that are that I guess privy to the information that they're privy to. Like they don't care. Like this is nothing. This is like a flash in the pan. Out there and in the spiritual realm, and then like the space realm is where it's really going on, because that's where all the amazing stuff's happening. We're like dampered and like gilded here, like we're not seeing the whole picture. So of course, like, dude, if I had that much money, yeah, I'd fake my death to go over there and go to Alpha Centauri and continue a whole nother career. Yeah, definitely, I would fake my death right now. You know what I'm saying? If I could do that, you know what I'm saying? I'd be like, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna forget nobody. Like, go, trust me, I got a plan. Get my family up there. I'm getting your ass up there. We all finna go. But definitely, so yeah, it's definitely a possibility that they fake their death and they're in Mars somewhere performing in front of reptilians. You're like, who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Really, I mean, you just never
Mhm.
know.
Yeah,
So
you get
now,
bored with life on Earth.
well, but if you leave Earth, you might be longing for it. You might be
Hmm.
like, I heard that Mars smells kind of like burnt toast or something like that, or like
Yeah.
wet metal, or it's got this stink.
Yeah, the oxidation probably.
Might, yeah, something like that. Yeah. Um,
I don't know.
so,
Yeah.
so have you ever seen anything interesting, like a UFO, or had any kind of paranormal experiences?
Um, let's see. I'd probably say, I mean, I've I've been exposed to that kind of thing, like even before I could remember anything. All right, for instance, my mom, my dad, you know what I'm saying, they met down here where I am here in southern Arkansas, so southwest Arkansas, you know, when they were, you know, children, they're still in high school and stuff. And my dad joined the army and he ended up being stationed in Hawaii. And that's where I was conceived, and where I was born at was in Hawaii, on in Honolulu. And I think there was a time where I was in the crib in the back, and my mom and dad was like in the living room. I guess just, you know, I think my mom was in the living room and my dad was maybe in the kitchen or something like that, or vice versa. And they seen a guy just come through the front door. He just came through the front door and just went straight like a beeline, real fast, in like military clothing, like kind of, you know, old school Marine dress wear, you know, like street, like when they go out on the street, you know, back in the day. And he just like made a beeline from the front door all the way to like to the hallway. And then my room was located in that hallway. That's where the rooms were. And then when they got up to look and see what was going on, the guy just like, he was walking fast as hell, and then took a right or a left into my room while I was in the crib. And then they ran back there because it was like, who's going in Adrian's room? So they shoot back there, which is that's my legal name, Adrian. Anyway, so they go in there to chase after him, like, you know, who's this dude going in that room? They ran up in there and he was gone. And then they were like, wait a minute, this is the same location where the Japanese airplanes had struck. So that guy, wherever he was going, he never made it.
Wow.
And he went right into my room.
So you think that was a ghost?
Yeah, a ghost, or like an impression of like you know, because that's the thing, it doesn't have to be a ghost in order for it to leave an impression. You know, it could be a person that's in a state of like extreme, like heightened emotional state, whether it's love, fear, anger, you know, depression, and they can leave like an impression of that moment, of themselves in that moment. So it's not like a ghost, but more like like a shadow loop, you know, of themselves. Like it's so strong that it actually leaves like a visual impression of what they were doing at that time. So it's either a ghost went, or it was just that impression making a loop going in there. But the thing that trips me out is that it turned and went into my room. So that means it very well could be a ghost, because it was moving, like that's like a conscious move to go into my room.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like, since now that I've gotten older, a lot of people that, and a lot of things like animals and stuff like that, like will just come up to me when they're like close to, you know, death, and then I'll take care of them, and then they'll just die. Like just wild animals, like I'm talking about lizards. A rabbit came up to me one time, which is weird, and I was like, what's wrong with this rabbit? And I was like, there's got to be something wrong with it. And my kids loved it. It was only alive for like 3 to 4 hours and it died. And that's all been happening recently.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of like I'm maybe, because like my mind's starting to operate on like a less conditioned frequency, you know. So maybe I'm going back to maybe how I was when I was younger. So that's starting to attract, you know, that kind of phenomena back to me, you know, that I might have lost just, you know, from conditioning and growing older, and, you know, all the bullshit that we go through when we start becoming men, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in this world and time. So
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm still waiting to grow up. I mean, it's like, when's it going to feel different? You know?
right. Yeah, no, dude, you too, man. I mean, I feel like, I honestly feel like I haven't grown up, you know. I mean, in a way it's a good thing, and in a way it's a bad thing. It's like we both look really young for our age. We definitely both look young, so that's a good thing. But at the same point, it's like, man, you know, like, you know, fuck bills, fuck jobs, you know, like I hate that. Like, you know, I hate that part of it. But
Yeah.
you know, anyway.
What? Why do we have to pay to live on a planet we were born on? You know?
Mm-hmm. That's a really good question, man. I mean, you know, it's like, it doesn't make any sense. It's one of those things where it's kind of like, you know, we should just everybody should, you know, like they say, it takes a village. Like everybody should just be a big world village. You know, it's
I think
like,
we're going. I think we're going to that. You know,
Mhm.
Sadly in the 60s when all the communes were starting and everything,
Oh, mhm.
they were all infiltrated by the CIA.
What?
Yeah. And that's what they brought, LSD and all this stuff, and they
Chemicals.
controlled all of the
Chemicals.
leaders of the movements. So they didn't want that happening. They didn't want people living off grid and not paying their bills. They wanted people stay in your little house, pay your bill.
Mhm. Feed the
No.
system.
Yeah,
Feed the
yeah.
system. Well, I did not know that the CIA infiltrated them. I know that they infiltrated other stuff, like they infiltrated, like Black Panthers. They infiltrated other people that were like trying to do stuff for like the common man, stuff like that. But I did not know that they even infiltrated the communes, man.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They infiltrated everything. I mean,
Yeah.
they definitely infiltrated the UFO community or the truth community for
Yeah,
sure.
that, like early on, I think we had a conversation about that. Like they were making moves that were so close to the truth, and then they would, it would be gone. So close to the truth, and then opportunity would be gone. Like it almost seems like somebody sabotaging it from the inside. But
Mhm.
but back to the one thing that would make sense why we got a whole planet full of shrooms, and then they decided to make LSD. you know like who has the facilities and the chemists and the neuroscientists to figure out how LSD should be made besides deep state government, MK Ultra government. Like, I mean, it's basically like the evil version of shrooms. That's basically what LSD is. So it would make sense because I was always wondering, like, why are you taking LSD when there's all these shrooms out here? Shrooms that you could grow yourself to make sure that you're getting the most that you can get out of a psychedelic experience. Why are you buying LSD, a chemical? You know,
Yeah, that never
and
leaves your
now
body and can recycle through, and it's
makes sense. Yeah.
it's it's not good. Yeah, I did mushrooms once, and I'll probably never do it again, but it
Yeah.
was very hilarious. I was projectile tear cry laughing, unbelievable.
Just like gushing, like
Everything was funny, and
yeah,
it
that's
it
cool,
was
man.
very bizarre. But
Yeah, but I mean, I think honestly, I don't know if you know like some of the science behind shrooms. Come to find out, it's like a friend of mine that like grows told me. He said that basically shrooms are like the dragons of all drugs, being that they retain the knowledge ever since they first came about. Just like how a dragon remembers like yesterday what his father did and what his father before him all the way back to the beginning of time. That's what shrooms do. They're like a database for like physical reality and it and this and how the spiritual and the physical like interact with each other. So it knows all this on like a deep level. So when you take shrooms, you're actually accessing that database, but it's also working off of your own body chemistry and genetic makeup to like to bring it to you how you need to be, how you need to interface it. But yeah, it's basically like neurons of the and memories of physical reality in space and time.
well, I must have accessed the Space Comedy Club because I was
It's what you needed. It's
yeah.
what you needed. Like that's what I'm saying. It's gonna do what you needed. That's probably what you needed at that time. And that's and that because you've got like a really good knack for like comedy and like making people smile. So it would make sense why shrooms would do that to you. Like that's
Well,
basically that was Aaron Moriarty times 50 million overdrive.
now I was very young, and I had some friends, and one of the friends was one of the guy that got this stuff,
Mhm.
and we were trying to decide what to do with it because there's a number of things you can do with it, make tea or whatever, and
Mhm.
they were all on this cookie sheet,
Mhm.
and one of the guys just starts grabbing them and eating them. So we all had to grab some before they were all gone.
Oh my God.
I think
Wow.
we just ate too many or something. But see,
Mhm.
so I think but for me, that I've never heard what you're saying. That sounds very, very interesting. but I think I'd rather, I don't know, man, because there was a blizzard going on, and some of the guys were walking out in the blizzard, and that's not safe.
Well, yeah, like, yeah, maybe they might have ate too many. You didn't. Maybe that's why you were laughing, because you couldn't believe that they were walking into a blizzard with like regular clothes on. Like, that was funny to you,
It was very, very bizarre, but
yeah,
I mean, we do very strange things when we're younger, and
Mhm,
I guess some of us
mhm,
don't do it again. Others find out the deeper meaning of it, which is very, very interesting to me. That's,
mhm.
I'll have to look that up and read a little bit about that. That's very, very interesting. Uh,
Yeah.
I had a dream. I had a dream once,
Mhm,
and it was about this plant scientist,
mhm,
and he created this plant robot guy. And I was conversing with this plant robot, this hybrid plant. He got the fluid to move almost as fast as our blood, and he was remembering all the world's evolution from a plant's point of view. And I think that's what you were talking about.
Wow, because plants are on the same frequency. They're on the same, like shrooms. It's it's a kind of like a plant botany type situation.
Right,
So
right.
that's a really cool dream. Like, I mean, you might have kind of cracked the code on something with that. Because just imagine if a being like that was created, like a plant that experiences what a plant experiences, but can interface with us like how we talk. You know, it
Mhm.
would almost seem like an alien, but it would be probably way beyond even that.
Yeah, it was a freaky dream. In the dream, it was super realistic. And I was like a reporter. I've never been a reporter before, but in the dream, it was normal for me to be a reporter. And I had to
Mhm.
go talk to this plant scientist. I
Mm.
was interviewing him, and the doctor goes, "You're not very interested in this, are you?" "Well, not really." He goes, "Put the paper down, put the pencil down, come with me." We go into this little elevator type room, and these red lights go on, and it burns off like the first layer of whatever's on you.
Mm.
And we went into this clean white lab, and there was all these, like, there's one white table where this one man was sitting, and that's that plant man. And he was sitting very serenely, and we went to that little white table, and um, this woman came with a bowl of water, and she put it on the table, and the man put his hands in the water, and he absorbed it, and he got set up a little straighter.
Yeah.
And this like nurse woman came and untucked his shirt, and that's where his pants, like from the waist down, was dirt and roots.
Whoa.
So she put like a plate of like um, vegetables and whatever,
Hmm.
plant matter, plant
Yeah.
food.
Hmm.
And he went on to talk about the history of the planet from a plant's point of view, from the
Yeah.
beginning of life. It was really fascinating.
Man, see, that's awesome. Like, man, dude, like, just the description of that, like, I believe that sometimes when people dream, like, they're actually like having memories from an alternate dimension, or alternate life in an alternate dimension. And that sounds like that to me, like, because everything you said, and it could just be my imagination like that. Like, it processes things, and it just sees it like super visual, like vividly. But it could very well be some stuff like that. Like, you might have, when you dream, you go into that realm. You go into the realm where, like, you can have memories from past lives and alternate dimensions, future past lives and all alternate dimensions, or this one. Like, it just goes everywhere. But that was so, the science in that and the visuals in that, to me, are so, that makes so much like logical sense, that it has to be like something, you know, something from like something that really happened at some point in time, maybe in an alternate maybe. But that's really awesome. That's dope. You're definitely more plugged in than you may give yourself credit for. But I think you kind of know. You feel it anyway. I know you. That's the reason why we're here. We
Yeah.
feel something beyond what we're experiencing in this reality that we're in now. So.
Yeah. And we want the truth, Um, so what was the thing that kind of woke you up to this whole new thinking?
Um, I guess what woke me up to it was when I read books from Isaac Asimov,
Mm.
and like, you know, I was just looking at different things like that, and I was reading the books, and in the books he was describing like how like they had cut so many books out of the Bible, how like, you know, if they included all the stuff in the Bible, like it would have like space travel, it would just talk about a lot of different things that, you know, seem like science fiction. And I was like, why would they cut that out? That's dope. And then I was thinking, oh, they cut it out because if, you know, knowledge is power. You know, if we knew that that was really going on, then we go a little bit further, and then we might be able to like unravel it from the inside out. And they don't want that because they want us to keep us in the box. And that just got me on that path. And that was around, I don't know, maybe 2000, 2001. Um, and then a book called Consilience by Edward O. Wilson. And it's funny because he's from Arkansas actually. And he's, you know, and I think he's like real into insects. I think that's part of his like his life study or his life's work. And he's fascinated and like obsessed with ants. Like he loves ants. And I was like, dude, that's me. I used to just stare at ants all the time and just watch them do stuff, make them do little things, you know what I mean? Create like little pathways, you know, make like little houses for them out of glass, you know what I mean? And watch them go inside of it. Just watch the lights bounce off of them when they walked inside the little glass hut that I made for them. Like just shit like that. And I was like, there's like something going on where we all have something like, you know, it's almost like we're sharing the same life in certain ways. It's like we're all going through this same thing. It's like I don't know if I might have explained it to you at one point, but it's like we're all like a giant crystal, but a different facing on the crystal, you know, and that's why we're crystal children. We're not crystals apart. We're a crystal together. Like we've been shattered and spread out throughout all realities and throughout all fucking space and time, and we're trying to come back together to make the whole. And that's the reason why that there's this push like intergalactically for us to remember that, you know.
Wow. That's
And I
that's
think,
I like that, a different facet uh, of the crystal. That's pretty cool.
yeah, we've been shattered, and that's where we're trying to come together. Because what did you say that Corey said? He said no, you know, that they told him not to touch the crystals because the
Yeah.
crystals are alive. If
Right.
you break them or do anything to them, it's gonna hurt them. And I
Mhm.
think that's what happened to us. Like we got hurt somewhere. We
Mhm.
got hurt and blown apart. And like there's no like time doesn't exist because there's no amount of time to bring this crystal back together. You know what I mean? But it's instantaneous. All we're doing is just experiencing it in slow motion, you know. So we I think we've done it. I think like right now I'm kind of like welled up a little bit, like because it's just like when I thought about that, I never thought about that before. Like, you know, that we're all part of the same crystal and we were shattered. Like something just like I'm hold up. Hold on, give me a second, bro.
It's okay. It's okay, man. Very cool.
Mm,
That is cool. You know, it sort of reminds me of The Dark Crystal. Remember that movie?
yep,
Where
yep, I loved it.
but yeah, I like your idea better, where it's a multiple broken. And if we all come together, the
Mhm.
more we all come together, the more the crystal will be pure, the more our intent will be
Mhm.
more focused and pure.
Right, right.
Interesting, interesting,
Yep.
interesting.
Man, dude, like I've it that is wild. Like that I never before now like realized that. Like I'm just like that's like an epiphany for me. Like right now, I'm like I'm fucked up right now. Be honest, like this is crazy. This is crazy.
That's
Mhm.
cool. And you heard it here first, folks.
Man, dude. Hey, I heard it here first. You
Crystal
know,
children, crystal children. We're all crystal children.
coming back together to make the whole crystal that we were part of in the beginning.
I kind of I feel a song coming on.
Shit. I'll let that happen naturally, man. I mean, you know, if it happens, it happens. But you know, I think honestly, like, you know, like I said, it's you know, creation, whether it's us like, you know, creating different ways of looking at things or creating a song or a different way of seeing things, you know, it's all creation to me. You know, it's just as good as a song, you know. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's yeah. And you know, I was thinking something the other day. I have so many favorite shows now, you
mhm.
know, on the internet, on YouTube and on other platforms. And I think back at my life when I watched TV and I maybe only had one or two favorite shows. Now
Mhm.
I've got so many favorite shows, it's hard to watch all of them.
Right.
And that's what's beautiful about this movement. We're all creating content, you're creating music and a movie, and we're all, you know, and that's why I created my little art channel for kids,
Mhm.
3 a.m. studios. And
Yeah.
your daughter did a
Mhm.
drawing and I posted it up on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was
Rihanna.
very cool.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Yeah, my kids love your art, man. They love what you do, man. So that was random. Wanting to show you, like, hey, look, look what I did. You want to show Aaron? I was like, yeah, I'm
that
showing.
was cool. That was cool. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Corbin's got kids and they're really, really nice kids. And he's a great dad. And, you know,
I try, man. I try. You know. Yeah.
yeah, you don't have to do much to be a great dad. You just kind of have to be yourself, you know,
Yep. Exactly.
all you got to
Exactly.
do. And,
Mhm.
you know, I got two kids that are grown. I got one grandkid. So,
Oh, that's awesome, man. Hey, grandpa, man, that's what's up, man. Yeah.
yeah, right.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Like I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I had no
I'll
idea.
get some suspenders, you know.
Yeah, get some suspenders, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so I kind of like, when you talk, shaking your head a whole lot, like you got Parkinson's setting in or something. I mean, not a joke. I'm just saying, like, you're like, oh yeah, I think people just start doing that at a certain age, like no medical thing involved. They just start talking like that when they get a certain age. It's like,
Mhm.
like TV, man, it's got us all thinking you have to do certain things when you get a certain age, make dad sounds. I think that was on a Family Guy one time. He's like, with his hand in his pants, like, but people do that, you know what I mean? Like I've caught myself doing that. I was just getting down under the couch to
Yeah,
find a shoe or something, and I was like, I was like, what am I doing? I don't do this. I don't need to be grunting, man. Shit, I got a good back. What the hell? So
sound effects. Yeah, I do it too. Yeah, it's
yeah, you don't even have to do it. Come on, man.
Skipper on Gilligan's Island did that a lot. Yeah.
Oh, yep. I think and I used to love Gilligan's Island. I'm like, man, it'd be awesome to be on an island like that, man. You know what I'm saying? With like hot girls and shit.
That was, and sadly, Dawn Wells just passed away. So that's very
Oh man, for real?
for real. Yeah.
Damn, man, dude. Yep. That was a
A
good
friend,
show, man. Good
a
people. Huh?
friend of mine who I worked with at Tonka Toys years ago, he grew up in California
Hmm.
and he was driving with his friend and they got a flat tire or they're out of gas or something. And his friend said, "Hey, Dawn Wells lives nearby. Maybe she'll help us." This is 1969.
Hmm.
So they sat around the pool, talked to Mary Ann.
Shit. Oh wow.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
But
dope.
yeah,
Hmm.
I never got to meet her, but
Hmm.
and Ginger's the only one left. So
Really?
still is some incentive to get that boat and find that island, you know.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, man. I mean, I don't believe that like there's not an island somewhere like that you can't find. Like there's got to be some stuff, but there's a problem though with that because there's people that went out to look for stuff like that, and guess what? They came back with arrows all in their body.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about like within the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think it was a guy that was trying to he called himself like I guess a missionary,
Mhm.
and they found that island, and like people that are kind of attached to that island by just distance, they don't actually like interface with it. They were
Mhm.
like, don't go there. I'm telling you, like, we don't have people go there because we're trying to preserve them, but also they're very hostile. They're not trying to have it. And this guy was like, I'm gonna go because I want to teach them the ways of Christianity.
Oh no. Oh
Dude
no.
went dude went there, and it was just like, boom. I'm talking about turn him into like an arrow cushion.
A porcupine.
Yeah. Porcupine. Like he was Sonic the Hedgehog, but he wasn't going nowhere fast.
Oh no!
They put like they put all the quills up in it. Like, yeah, like so that happened, and I was just like, man, just leave people alone, man. Like leave people alone. Like to me, honestly,
you should have put the armor of God on.
Oh. Oh yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it. I mean, huh?
Might have helped.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit, you know. I mean, like, do trust and believe. I believe that there is a God source. I definitely do. I just think that, like, people, they kind of get, I guess you could say, their ego and their self-righteousness kind of gets in the way of like the God source, and it takes on like, pretty ugly forms of belief systems. And it just gets to a point to where, like, enough is enough, you know. But like I said, I respect everybody's opinion and, like, right to practice whatever they believe in. I believe, just like the whole COVID thing and the mask, like, hey, I believe that people should either wear a mask if they want to or not wear a mask. It's just the way that they put it. It's like, you're not being a responsible person if you don't wear a mask. Like, I don't get that. Like, so what do you mean it's wrong to have the option, like to have to wear a mask? And that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, don't, if only thing they ever said was, hey, look, our studies conclude that the mask help to prevent this thing from happening, but you can do what you want to do, but this is what we've come up with. You can draw your own conclusions. That would have been fine. But don't sit there and like push this thing where you've got these celebrities, these think tanks or whatever, just like saying, wear your mask or you don't care about my nana. Like, are you serious? I don't care about your grandma because of a mask? Like, oh my God. Like, I want your grandpa to die, right? That's what you're telling me. And I think that was the wrong thing to do. That's what makes it wrong to me, is when you're basically telling people that you're a piece of shit unless you wear a mask. Like, to me, that's a little forceful, and that steps on people's sovereignty as like a human being.
Definitely does. Yes.
Yeah. And religion does, and religion is also, back to the, not to segue too much, but back to the point is like religion does that too. They, and they, people should stop with that as well. They're turning the mask into a religion. They're actually turning the fear of COVID into a fear religion. That's what and the God is COVID. And people don't understand that COVID has zombie HeLa cells in it. And HeLa cells are basically like cells that, even when like the host dies, like the cells that keep continuing to replicate and they're still alive. Those are zombie cells. They've got that in COVID. They've got a bunch of stuff in there, like that they've genetically modified this thing with nanotech cells. It's almost kind of like, it's weird. It's almost kind of like a microscopic zombie robot virus, and from what I'm thinking that like some of the elites have their cells like infused into it too. That's the reason why it's called Corona, because the crown.
Interesting.
Yep. And if you look at that, and if you look at their money, if you look at the money in Britain, it's got a symbol on it. I think that has Queen Elizabeth's face on it. On that bill, it's got like a Corona looking virus like type deal on that bill. So it's something to look into.
Wow.
So, yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy, and it's only the states that are run by one certain party that this is all happening in. So very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Or they're compromised by the deep state, and they are the other ones.
Yeah. Well, I think there's going to be a lot of D-class coming up real quick here.
So what do you think about that? Like, what do you think you know, if they declass and they like, what would you immediately want to see happen?
Well, yeah, I think they've got like over 200,000 sealed indictments. So, crack open about, 40 or 50,000 of those. That'll be a good start. And just,
Yeah.
show these people being arrested, some of the higher type people, show them,
Hmm.
film them being arrested. And so the
Yes.
people can celebrate because
Yes.
we all knew something was wrong growing up. Now we've seen what is wrong,
Hmm.
and and even the voting. I mean, look at that. I mean, I'm never going to look at voting the same again. It's so rigged, so riggable. They need to find a
Hmm.
way, a rig-proof way of doing it. And,
Hmm. Yeah.
and I had an idea, but it's probably unfeasible. But so you mail everybody three
Hey,
hats.
but you got some good ideas.
Everybody gets three hats. Every voter gets three hats, right? A red one, a white one, and a blue one. So the red one is a Republican, the blue one is a Democrat, and the white one's the independent. So
Mhm.
at noon on election day, you go out with your hat on into an open field somewhere, and you get your satellite photograph taken, and then the computer just counts them all.
Wow. Like, why would you think that's unfeasible? Like they use that for like that kind of imaging for like way less important shit in the
Yeah,
scheme
but
of things.
in like New York City with all the high rises, where are you going to find enough land to spread out?
Well, that means everybody that wants to actually participate in the vote, they need to go out to somewhere in middle America.
There you go.
You know? Like, yeah, like if it's that serious, like, hey, look, we're not gonna have an election until everybody gets to this spot and they do what they gotta do, or do
Well,
whatever you have to do in order, like stand on the roofs if you have to, you
mhm.
know. Like, yeah, and I think that's actually a really good idea. It's practical, but it's also, to me, it seems like that could also could be a celebration. Like you could turn it into a party.
Mhm. I also think that in an election like we just had, they should make some kind of announcement like if you so whoever you voted for, you know, if you voted for Donald Trump, send us a postcard with your signature that you voted for Donald Trump,
Mhm.
and then count the postcards. And there's going to be a big difference because they threw a lot of ballots away. I mean,
Mhm.
that'd be one way of checking it. I don't know.
Right. You know, and then another thing too, man, like I think people that are in charge of getting these ballots and stuff like that to from point A to point Z, like I think they should be like psychologically vetted. You know what I'm saying? Like they should be people that, okay, this guy's, a solid guy, this guy's a solid guy, this girl's a solid girl, and so on and so forth. That way you don't have to worry about if they're making a stop to, throw some out or throw ones in. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's the thing that like they just don't even care. They don't even care. They don't vet nobody. They just let anybody through the door. No psychological evaluations or anything. So I think if they need to start there, it needs to be like some reform on like a psychological level before we have another election, definitely. You
Mhm.
know, if it even exists. Like, I'm all about the 1776 thing, like take it back to the United States for America and not of. That's where everything went stupid when it became a corporation rather than a national sovereignty continent. So
That's right. That's right. Yep.
yeah. Yeah, it's like as long as you're acting within your sovereign and like human right as an organism on the planet, as long as you're acting within the realm of that, like you should never ever have to worry about law enforcement, ever have to worry about like government interference or anything like that. Like you're your own individual nation under the U.S. sovereignty. Like you should never have nothing to worry about. That's the reason why, like this freedom of speech, guns, religion, all that kind of stuff. That's the reason why it was set, because you're supposed to govern yourself. But then when it came to when, as a nation of individual sovereignty, is sovereignty, Americans, that we're going to make a decision as a nation, that's when everybody comes together and votes on something. Other than that, everybody's chilling, everybody's, just hanging out, doing their own thing. If they want to come together, they can come together. They don't want to come together, they don't have to. But that's what I'm saying. As long as it's the sovereignty of the nation and other people's sovereignty isn't threatened, you should be able to react and do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I agree. And we've got technology now where if a representative is in Congress and they're voting on something, they could get their constituents to just vote on something, and he'll know what the people want, and he can take that into account. Like, I was going to go this way, but most of the people are saying this. So
right. And it's all dealing with that, and it would be easier to do if we didn't have outside influence and people that are inside being lobbied by people from the outside. What I mean? It would be a lot. That would be possible. Yeah. But that's what we got to get rid of. That we have to get them out, so that way we can worry about making that possible. We got to get them out, and we got to cut all their tethers. And I think I think honestly, no matter how this election thing turns out, what happens from the 6th to the 20th this month, I think that no matter what, Trump should do an insurrection act. He needs to go ahead and reclaim all of our properties. Everything that's American, he needs to just get it right back to here, and then we can worry about reforming our country. And I think that's
something definitely needs to happen. But they've been working behind the scenes this whole time. Those 200,000 indictments, and thousands of corrupt CEOs have stepped down across the world.
Yep, they're gone.
But who took their place? But got to keep an eye on all that. But and also I heard watch who resigns, especially from some of these states that had voting irregularities. So it could be interesting. It could be interesting.
Yeah, you know what? You damn near got to see who's retiring from, like, doing art or doing entertainment. Like, look at that too. Like, who's like, all of a sudden I think Anita Baker retired today. I'm like, what the hell? Like, you don't wait till the day before the 6th, And I'm not saying that Anita Baker is part of anything. I'm just saying that, like, the tendrils of, like, the cabal and the deep state and all that, like, they're really dug into emotional triggering mediums like music, movies, art, and stuff like that. They're really dug in because they know that stuff has way more impact than any book that you can think of on, like, a massive level, and it just communicates in a way that books can't communicate, that regular education can't communicate. And so it's not going to surprise me if you see a lot of people just come up gone, or just off the map, or just retiring and stuff like that. I'm like I said, I'm not saying that Anita Baker, because she's one of my favorite, like, vocalists of all time. I'm not saying that she's a part of that, but it just got me to thinking, like, how many people are just gonna retire or just fall off the map after what happens. And there's some crazy theories as to why that's gonna happen. But I just want to say something else too about this pandemic. It makes me think of the god Pan, and Pan was basically a demonic Pied Piper of children, and like to meddle with children and do nasty things. Like, that's where Pan comes from. So I'm just like, pandemic, and pansexual, and then Peter Pan. You got this grown motherfucking man on the movie Hook, Robin Williams, flying around with children, and I'm like, So if you really think about it, Hook was a good guy, because he knew what he was. He knew he was demonically influenced, and that's what I'm saying. Because all right, what did it for me as far as it goes, because when theories connect to, like, stuff that people have actually did, it all makes sense. Because when Robin Williams did the voice for the genie on Aladdin, when you listen to, like, the backing track, there's like a subliminal back mask, and where he says, all good little teenage girls like to take their clothes off. He says it
Really?
during this. Yes, he says it during the scene. You can look it up, and then somebody
Wow.
isolated. Yeah, somebody isolated it, and that was on the actual theatrical cut. It's on a lot of VHSs. I think it's on all of the old mediums. They may have took it out on like some Blu-ray DVD remaster type shit, but I know it existed and it actually happened. Like a lot of people even heard it back in the day, but there wasn't social media. But they heard it back in the day. Around the same time, we were all looking at that Sex in the Sky on fucking on Lion King when he falls down on the rose petals and they go up in the air. It spells out sex. Around that time, people were noticing it. They were like, "There's something going on with these Disney movies." And Robin Williams did that backing track. So if you take that and then you look at the fact that he did Peter Pan, he did the Peter Pan movie Hook, and then also he did Mrs. Doubtfire where he was dressed up like a woman fucking with kids. You know what I'm saying? Like lying to him, being, what I mean, in disguise as a woman to get close to kids. Like, you gotta look like you have sometimes you have to dissect these things and take away all the wholesome shit, right? Because they try to hide the way they do it is using wholesomeness as a Trojan horse for like the real message of what they're trying to get across. Mm-hmm. And that's what they do with a lot of Disney movies and shit, a lot of mainstream movies. And so you look at the basic bottom line of it. When Robin Williams was in Miss Doubtfire, he was dressing as a woman to get close to children. Take away all the wholesome shit. That's the Trojan horse. You take away all that, you've got that. That's what he was doing. You look at Hook. He's Peter Pan, but he's flying around. He's doing all this. He's trying to, save the kids. But what was he doing? You saw Hook. Did he have a bunch of children with him? No, they were all grown-ass men, right? But then when you look at Robin Williams playing Peter Pan, what was he doing? He had little children around him, dazzling them with magic, and what was his little sidekick? Tinkerbell, tinkering, to tinker, to tamper. I could be completely wrong, but then you look how he died too. And then you look at the whole backmasking thing where he's telling little kids to take off their clothes. Come on now. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Wow.
Yeah. And it sucks because I liked him, but you have to, I like Tom Hanks too, but you have to call a spade. And that's the thing. It's like, if people can't get past that and they can't deal with these hard questions, they're not ready for no kind of disclosure. We're going to have to hold their hand. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, you think you're ready, but are you ready for all your idols to be shattered and destroyed? That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. False idols,
mm-hmm.
What they are. I mean, these famous people, they're all controlled to some degree, some more than others,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I personally never liked any Robin Williams movies except a couple. I thought he made a perfect Popeye. I thought he was good in that.
You took it out of my mouth. I was just about to say Popeye. See, me and you, bro. Me and you. Man, hell yeah. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
He even looked like him. I mean, he amazingly looked like him.
Yeah. And you see, and why was that role? Why was that role to me dope? Because it's like, he's a tough ass dude fighting people. Get away from my bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to protect this woman and you're a bunch of assholes. I'm here to fucking protect. That's the type of shit we needed to see. That was the realest role he probably ever played. And
the power of vegetables. Think about that.
Yeah, see, not, yeah, exactly.
What are the strongest animals? A horse is a strong animal. Horse doesn't eat meat.
Nope.
Grains, grass.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you're right.
Oxen doesn't eat meat. They're very strong.
Nope.
And all the strongest animals aren't meat eaters. I mean, a lion, I think, they can sprint, but the antelope can run for hours,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, think about that. Think about it. It's like you said, it's what we're basically describing to anybody watching this is that, like, man, it's the God consciousness in the details, as well as like evil stuff. But the thing is, you look for the evil stuff to stay away from things. You look for the good stuff to go after it, you know. So that's basically what's happening here, man. It's like all it's like you have to look at things and you have to pay attention to, like, sometimes even things in the background of movies, sometimes the way things are worded, you know, no matter what the story is, good or a good story, a nice story, happy story, it could be a story that's sad from the outset, but the way that they word things and place things is, you know, might make you happy, and you're like, why do I feel happy about, why even though this movie or this story is so sad that I'm excited to read the next page, it's because of how things are placed. You know, it's for the deeper meanings, for the deeper codes enveloped inside of all the fluff. And that's really cool how you broke that down, like, you know, how the spinach thing, he ate spinach and he was tough as shit. Before that, when he was drinking alcohol and shit and fucking tripping, like, you know, he wasn't nothing. Brutus could beat the shit out of him. But when he got that spinach, he was on that ass. Just popped it right out the can. Shit would jump right in his mouth. Like, yeah, like, eat me, you know, and like, yeah, you know. So,
Wimpy ate hamburgers, but he couldn't
yeah,
do.
he was weak as shit. He ate hamburgers, but he was, you know, he couldn't do nothing. Exactly. You would think if you know, a meat eater, you know, like, he should have been the toughest thing on the block. But man, no. You know, he had to, you know, make sure his friend got some spinach, and, you know, in order to whoop people that was on his ass. That's the only way. You know,
That
so
was
yeah,
that
that's a
was
really
definitely
good.
my favorite cartoon when I was a kid. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
mine too. I watched it over, and I could not stop watching Popeye. It was dope.
Yeah, yeah. And,
Popeye, there was Leo the Lion too. Like, Leo the Lion was cool. I like that one a lot.
uh,
Yeah, that was pretty cool. It was a little small lion, but, you know, he was getting shit handled, you know. And I was a small kid, and I felt like, you know, like, maybe I'm, you know, but I had like a heart of a lion, so I'm like, maybe I could be like Leo the Lion, you know. So
mhm.
I've just always had that about me. Like, I don't know what it is, like, you know, it's just something that I always felt like I could do more, even though I'm just me. You know, I can do more. And then, you know, I started getting friends, and then, you know, I mean, then I started realizing that, like, hey, you know, like, we could do more together. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, that, because I looked at it, I was like, well, Leo the Lion, he had friends that would help him, and I was like, hey, you know, that's it. You know what I mean? That's part of it. Like, you know, unity in the community.
Mhm.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? You know, and
yeah,
together we can do anything. So,
yeah.
but yo, so question, what, like, that I don't know if you answered it already, but what should happen immediately after, you know, like, after the, you know, the arrest and all that? What do you think should happen right after that? Like, if you had the perfect scenario rollout, if everything goes how we would like it to go, as far as, you know, people getting arrested and getting brought to justice.
Well, I think a whole lot of education needs to happen. I think that the all of the mainstream media needs to be cleaned out at the exact same time. So you're going to have, get people like the heads of all the news stations and all the corrupt uh, newscasters,
Mhm.
and with all the crimes that they've done and how they're controlled and how they've just lied to the people. Um, that needs to totally stop. And so I think stop all mainstream media
Mhm.
and then bring it back up once it has competent people that are going to give truth and not these deep state lies. And
Right.
any connection to foreign countries like China or whoever, they need to be called out and um, their laundry hung up to dry. I mean, we need to see these things
Mhm.
to understand what happened and how this can be avoided in the future, and have perp walks, and have, all the people that we all love to not like, um, be maybe military tribunals at
Mhm.
Gitmo. So
Yeah.
that's what I think should happen.
Okay.
And
That's really
full UFO alien disclosure.
okay. All right. Okay. See, and this is what I think should happen next. I think that That should happen next. Full ET. I think they should come down here, and they should set up a place down here that anybody can see, like full visible, not nobody with guns standing outside. Trust me, ETs know how to protect themselves if anybody get crazy. Just leave it there. I guarantee you nobody's firing a shot, and just leave it open. No gates, no kind of like you have a retina scan or a certain ID. No, anybody can go see it. Anybody can go up and talk to them. If they don't want to talk, they just don't come out. But they could come out if they want to. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we could at least walk on the grounds, walk and look at some of the machines and apparatuses that they got, you know what I mean? Some of the anti-grav shit, warp gates, look at it, you know what I mean? Because we're probably not going to be ready to use any of that shit, but we can at least walk up and touch it and just like feel the energy, you know what I mean? The energy of something that like is out of this world, just to know that we're in good hands, and just to see it and touch it would be no problem. And I think that should happen first. And then from there, I think the rebuilding effort should start. And I think they should start with, getting all the 5G, any machinery that exists right now, even the very computers that we're talking on right now, they should get them gone. Because even in the circuitry boards, there's fail safes for like communist China type shit in the circuitry. Like they could be spying on us right now. There's that. There's also demonic sigil work inside this inside a lot of the circuitry boards to a lot of the shit that we use. So we're like sending energy to like inhuman interdimensional beings that only want to milk our fucking misery for the last 6,000, maybe 10,000 years. So we have to get rid of all that shit because that's a part of the old world. Got to get it going. And then bring in 0 point energy. There won't be a need for like social media or anything like that. There won't be a need for it because I think everybody will start like going to talk to the neighbor rather than going to talk to somebody that's like a million miles away. And then in some cases, like me and you, we'll just go and see each other. You know what I mean? That's basically how we'll do it. Everybody will start getting back to like how people should be communicating. I would say at the max phone conversations. That's it. Like I'm good with that. Phone conversations, and going to see people. That should happen. I think that ETs should also they should turn nobody away from any information, because once people know the information, they don't have to come in and just like, hey, your God's not real. Hey, your religion's not real. Hey, no, look, the information is there. They're going to tell you whatever you ask. Hey, is this real? No, it is not. Or, hey, is this real? Yes, it's real, but it's because of this, and then it's like from there, if they want to stay in a sleep state, that's them. But I think that honestly, anybody that wants to see us ascend is just going to be like, dude, I'm looking right at it. Like I'm literally looking at a UFO right now. I'm touching it. It's not no Project Bluebeam where they're faking an invasion. Like this is reality shit. This isn't a deep state version of an invasion. This is really shit that I can touch, so I got to kind of take it for more than a grain of salt, and I think once that starts happening, people just start like realizing like, okay, I've been taught a lie. I thought I was smart. I thought nobody can get nothing over on me, but they did. And I got to deal with it. But guess what? Look at the bright future that's ahead of us. Oh my God, it's going to be fucking awesome. And then I think from that, things will start happening naturally. And hold on, I got something listed here. Hold up. And I think, people can start using some of this technology like light beds to where like it tricks your own consciousness into like making the perfect version of what you're supposed to be for your soul to work through you to work out the intent that you're supposed to work out in this universe or in this reality. I think that will happen. Once that happens, once everybody's brain is the pristine, genetic version of what it was intended to be without like weird ass toxins, weird ass shit in the air, weird ass like genetic deformities that we're not supposed to have. I think at that point we'll be running on a level without a governor. Like we won't have a governor on our brains that was implanted in us by like, by ETs that wanted to hold us back, by certain foods and things like that. And I think at that point, like we won't have to worry about anybody doing anything wrong with the technology. We'll know that we're supposed to like aid in the process and then venture out and then continue the same growth process to other planets. Like real love and courage over fear and destruction, and hate, and I think that's what we'll do. And I think that like nobody has to worry about anybody like doing anything wrong at that point, because who wants to be the guy? Who wants to be the guy that destroys heaven? Who wants to be that guy? I wouldn't want to be that guy. Dude, you would be after me. You would be after like, Corbin, how dare you? Why did you shoot the alien in the face? Like you would come after me like, dude, how did you? We just had a damn podcast and you said he was on level. I got to get you. Like, come on. Like and I was like, well, what can I do? At that point, I couldn't even argue with you. Yeah, I shouldn't have shot the alien. I shouldn't have shot the alien to see what kind of blood would come out, because I thought it was a bug. Like, come on, like who wants to be the guy that fucks heaven up? Who wants to be the guy that makes the ETs leave because you want to be a fucking dickhead? At that point, not gonna happen. There's so many people that want full disclosure, but they're like, oh, well, I think that the disclosure should happen and the information and technology should be released, but responsibly. What the fuck is that? Bitch, fuck you. Yeah. Fuck you. I can't even believe you got millions of goddamn views. How in the fuck do you have millions and thousands of views? Like, do people just have to like your personality or just like to look at you? Because like, that's some shitty shit to say. Like, so anyway, I think we'll be fine once all that happens.
Well, when the automobile first came onto the market, there was a big uproar against automobiles. You keep those mechanical horseless carriages off the roads, scares the horse, and all the carriage makers were all up in arms. We can't let this happen. We're going to be out of business. Mm-hmm. So what GM did was GM made a deal with Fisher carriage makers, mm-hmm. Body by Fisher, mm-hmm. and the old Chevrolets and Oldsmobiles and Buicks and Cadillacs. Okay. They all had Body by Fisher. So they made a deal with the carriage makers to make their bodies for them. So, okay. But you can't stop. Right. You can't stop progress. I mean, they tried. They tried stopping cars. They couldn't do it.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. But I like what you say. We're going to go back to basics and get away from the technology. We might not have a choice after the solar flash comes. Apparently, we're not going to have electronics aren't going to work for over 1,000 years. So we'll have to use consciousness-based technology. Mm-hmm. But consciousness will be more powerful, and we can like make things mm-hmm. move, and mm-hmm. we'll be so amazed by that we'll starve to death because we won't want to think about eating because we're moving things with our brain.
I think honestly at that point, like there is such thing as like nourishment by osmosis. You know what I'm saying? Like your brain will actually your consciousness will preserve your body and make sure that you don't crash if it hits that level to where you're using like telekinesis and telepathy. So you'll be basically eating frequencies at that point. You might look, trust and believe. You might think you're starving for a little bit, but then you'll be like, man, look at this six pack. You know what I mean? Like, because it's the fat's just gonna go away. You'll be walking around doing shit. You're just gonna be constantly burning fat and then not dying. So
manifest food into your stomach without eating it.
You'll be manifest. I don't know about food, but something's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen. It's weird how people have talked about that, like how you basically, if like in fasting, like if you notice, okay, in the Great Depression, I don't know if you knew about this, but in the Great Depression, they started cutting down people's rations, and they were like, people are gonna think that we're at a food shortage, but really we're just like hoping they'll die off and we have less mouths to feed. But guess what? It just prolonged everybody's life because they were fasting, like back to they were fasting and it actually prolonged their fucking lives. Wow. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that. That's Well, we are really hard to kill, man.
Exactly.
The state's freaking out, man.
Right, exactly. When all you give us is our mind, dude. Yeah, like you don't want that because we gonna fucking mind matter at that point. And like you said, that's really cool. Like a way of communication. Like we could just communicate. It'd be all like consciousness based shit. Like all we would literally have to have is just like a small device that's probably less complicated than then this phone, then a phone, then a computer, because it's working off you're the computer, you
Mhm.
know. So it's like it'll just be like a device that we basically have to shoot our shit into, like our our intent and I guess in telepathy into, and then it goes to like the desired target without a bunch of like extra doodads and zoom zooms and wham whams, like you can just like that. You don't have to worry about hardly polluting anything. So that's really cool. Like I think that's basically where things need to go. Like I said, I don't think that technology should be completely gone, but it's gonna be gone for a little bit until they figure out a new system that's gonna work off the new consciousness.
Mhm.
So that's something that people need to prepare for, and that's why I was like, immediately, yeah, I'm coming to see you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get the fam, or you come see me, you bring the fam. Like it'll be shit like that, and vice versa. But I think that's one thing that would happen. Uh, um, One last thing I want to talk about.
Okay.
Remember when I talked to you about the the parallel between like dragonfire mechanics and words being spoke? Remember I
Mhm.
talked? Yeah.
Yes,
All right.
yes, that was very interesting.
Okay. All right. So I just want to kind of get into it. All right. Let's see. Like to make the sound of a consonant, it requires your tongue to touch the roof of your mouth, which causes a small electrical charge at the roof of your mouth. And our breaths that come from our diaphragm or solar plexus. So it's like holy water vapor. Holy means sun, and it's infused with willpower at that point. Our thought that we want to express triggers the act of using the breath to speak its intent as the words flow out. The consonants create the arc in your mouth that strikes the word vapor, and and your words on a spiritual level and manifestation level are as powerful or more so than dragonfire, you know, because, and then what got me to thinking about it is because, you know, ever since I was like started playing, I played D&D like way occasionally, like every once in a while. But I started getting into it back when I was in high school, and we were trying to figure out how do dragons like blow the flame out. And somebody said, oh yeah, well this is how, like he was really into like the whole dragon thing. And he said the way they do it is because they have a flammable, basically got napalm in their stomachs, and when they breathe it out from this pouch, this organ in their stomach, when it comes up and it comes to their mouth, they have an electrical arc that they touch with the roof of their tongue, or with the top of their tongue, they touch the roof of their mouth, and it creates an electrical spark. And then when the napalm comes out, it hits that spark, and then it creates dragon flame.
Wow.
So, and I was like, wow. And then come to find out that consonants, when you touch your tongue to the roof of your mouth, it creates a small electrical spark. Kind of like, when you bite on, it might be a little less than when you bite on a piece of aluminum and it hits that filling. Or it might be a little less than that, but it's still significant enough to like, to cause a measurable charge. And I
Mhm.
was like, that's what they were trying to tell us with Dragon Lore. They were trying to tell us that we have, it's basically the same shit when we use consonants and we talk. And I was like, oh my God. And then, that got me to thinking, like, as far as like, ritual sigil magic, when you write out your intent, cross out all the vowels, and you're left with consonants. The consonants are what charges the intent in that phrase that you want to turn into a sigil to create a spell to make whatever intent you want to have happen in the world happen. So I was like, wow, it even comes from that, like this shit is deep as fuck. Like it's like the macro micro, it's it's like, as above so below, or well, I believe as below so above. When it comes to physical reality, this always starts internal and then out. When, like I said, even with that right there is some Aleister Crowley shit where he basically flipped the pyramid on that phrase. I never really believed in as above so below. you know I mean, it's funny I say that because I did a song called as above so below, but at the time I didn't know, that it's really from below so above. But anyway, um so yeah, it's just something to think about. Like, so when you say something, you're basically, you got to be very careful about what you're saying and how you use your words, how you use your body to form the words. Because if we treated all of our bodies like they were a powerful weapon. You know, even the words and intents that come out of our mouth, just basically what I just described right now. If you just knew, like, I have the power of my voice and my words to like to shape, create, or destroy things, you know, or rebuild things. Like, you would really be thinking about how you use your words, how you use, you know, the air in your lungs to even make the words, the things you put into your body before you even fucking say a word. You know, it would make people think a lot more down the road, down the line. And I think that's what we're getting to. We're getting to a point to where people will subconsciously and unconsciously like not even think about that type of shit, because we'll already know how important that shit is. And we won't be doing things that are destructive on like a massive scale like that. And we'll be way more like responsible on a deep level. We're getting to that, but we got to get the bullshit out the way. And I think that's what he's trying to do.
Yes, I think so too.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think so too. Well, Korbin, it's been great having you on again.
Yeah, it's been great being on, man.
What's your YouTube channel? Because I'll put that in the link below in the description below. But what is it, so people can hear it?
Just Korbin Pheenix, Phoenix with 2 E's. You know, just the same way it is on all social medias. You just put that in and see if you can find me. I really don't have a lot of YouTube up, but I do have a Bandcamp, and you know, I'll send you the those links or whatever. Like, you know, shortly after we get off of here, I got them ready for you. And then my Twitter also. I'll send my Twitter link as well. And yeah. Oh, and then look at this awesome shirt I'm wearing right now. Hey, look at that. That is, yeah. Yeah, that is a design by director Zack Snyder. You know, he was the director of Man of Steel, BVS. You know, Zack Snyder's Justice League, and he does a lot of good stuff for you know, with, you know, through the movement of through the movement called Release the Snyder Cut. He does a lot of good things for AFSP, you know, or ASFP, AFS. Anyway, American Suicide Prevention. You know, he does a lot of things, you know, for that. You know, a lot. He'll have shirts like this that donate to it. And he also, you know, he'll have like events and things, you know, just to bring awareness to suicide prevention. And so far, it's raised over $500,000 in the last 2.5 years, ever since you know, you know, we started the movement. And you know,
awesome.
it's yeah, and it's pretty cool. You know, I mean, you know, I'm really happy with that aspect of it, and just the fact that we were able to help people know that like even when people count you out, there's always hope. You know, and I think that's what the movement also it also embodies, because, you know, this man, you know, Zach, he almost you know, lost everything because of family tragedy, a suicide, his daughter, Autumn. And yeah, and they tried to, and, you know, people tried to like basically fire him on his day off while he was mourning for his daughter. And you know, we came together, we came to his aid, and, you know, with, you know, other brilliant people, you know, that were leading the charge to get these Twitter movements going, these Twitter trending events, and you know, get this merchandise out that like all of it 100% goes to you know, American Suicide Prevention. You know, because, you know, I mean, you know, he's not using it because, I mean, he's got money. He just cares about, like, you know, trying to save lives, because, you know, he's deeply impacted by the you know, by suicide. And so anyway, we did that, and we got his movie, and we got his movie that he got fired from back in, you know, back in production, and it's going to be released sometime in March. So
Awesome.
yeah, so we really pulled together for him. So that's you know, I had the shirt on. If I didn't have the shirt on, I wouldn't have mentioned it, you know what I mean? But I was like, let me go ahead and do that, because I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want to have this shirt on that's like for something as powerful as that and then not mention it, you know. But
well, I'm glad that you did, and, you know, this will give our audience an idea of what a good guy Korbin is. Korbin Pheenix, a great guy. Look him up What's your Twitter handle?
My Twitter is at Korbin Pheenix, capital K, capital P. I'll put that also. I'll give it to you for the
All right.
description. Put in
All right.
description.
Fantastic. Thanks again for being with us here on Truth Quest.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
And we'll see you next time out on the web. Thank you very much.
Peace in.
Peace in. It's right. That's
Yeah.